testimony called This Is Me. So this morning, this is Rachael Hager.
Kids helping. So I have always been rather obsessive. I pestered my father for 8 years until he caved and bought me a pony. I spent 8th grade science handwriting the script to the sound of music from memory. And I saw Wicked 12 times live. But my obsessive nature also appeared in very negative ways. I would quietly perseverate on mistakes I had made years before. They would come out of nowhere and drag me down, sometimes for days at a time. I assumed it was just the obsessive personality. Fast forward a few years, I met Matt, who, despite his never-ending patience, must have been at least a little bit intimidated by being hit with what my father lovingly calls the Rachael train. We fell in love, and he alleviated many of my insecurities. We got married, had a gorgeous daughter, and I became busy enough to drown out the negative self-talk more often. He also started bringing me on and off to his church. I was resistant. I know Robin jokes about it, but Catholicism had a profoundly negative impact on my perception of organized religion. Then, while pregnant with Kit, I was invited to sing a song from a musical with the contemporary choir. If you recall, I have an affinity for musicals, so I agreed, which resulted in somewhat more regular church attendance. And the pregnancy, meanwhile, was miserable. I was exhausted. I had a toddler. It was a difficult pregnancy with a high risk of preterm labor, so I was worried about the baby's health. No, you can't have that. I was worried about money because I ended up out of work much sooner than originally anticipated. I was on bed rest and strict instructions to not be alone, which resulted in me being babysat alongside Piper while Matt worked. And finally, everyone kept telling me to enjoy every minute. And then I attended a choir rehearsal with Robin. Afterwards, as I lay on the couch in room 2, yet another person told me to enjoy every minute. And I kind of snapped. Actually, I was not enjoying it. I hated being pregnant. And then a miracle occurred. Robin, sitting nearby, overheard me and exclaimed, "Oh my God, I did too." Me. Really? Robin, "Oh yeah, it's hard. I hated it." I was floored. It had never occurred to me that I was allowed to think that. And the number one person I expected to be judged by was a pastor. And I suddenly realized that here was a place where I was allowed to be honest about needing some help, and I could be real about how I felt. When Kit was finally born, I was so relieved to be done being pregnant. I thought things would get better. Yes, that's exactly what it was like. They didn't. Look at him. He's so sweet, isn't he? He's adorable, right? He's sweet, he's easy. I hated him. I hated that I wasn't teaching. I hated being a stay-at-home mom. I hated that he wasn't a second daughter. I hated that he had no personality. I hated that he took time away from Piper. And I was overwhelmed by guilt that I thought all of those things. Who hates her own baby? But First Church had taught me something. I am allowed to be imperfect, and I'm not alone. And that's how I came to be diagnosed with postpartum depression. I was prescribed therapy and antidepressants and realized that not only did my uncontrollable animosity towards my son disappear, but so did my inclination to drown in everything I had ever done wrong. The depression that I didn't realize I'd been battling since childhood had been reined in finally, all because a pastor who I barely knew at the time had been open with me about being human. And now, I'm here all the time. I teach Sunday school. I sing. I surround myself with people who are able to accept my broken and bruised self exactly as it is. I'm able to ask for help when I need it and give it too. And I'm not scared to be seen anymore. I am someone who overcame depression. This is me.